More over here at HTM Sports. How is everybody doing this afternoon, man? This evening? I just wanted to tap in with y'all, give y'all about an hour's of change, man. You got some cowboy content. So it's all season, man. Like we ain't playing in the Super Bowl or nothing, so that really doesn't concern me who wins or loses that game. And I'm really gonna wait till after the Super Bowl to take a deep dive into the draft talk and things like that. So, with it being a slow news week, man, let's talk about this meme that's been floating around. You going to make them mad with this one, truth only. Yeah, man, like this is going to be crazy. Like, and listen, I'm not going to be biased or anything like that. But this is a conversation that needs to be had. Hey, Matt Brad, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with the kinfolk. So yeah, man, like it's a conversation that needs to be had because I'm not even gonna flat out just give y'all my opinion on it straightforward, right? We're just gonna talk about this meme that's been floating around. Like we're gonna talk about that, then we're gonna talk about the possibility of one Keenan Allen finding his way up to the Dallas Cowboys roster. So let's just jump right into it, right? Let's just jump right into it. So there is a meme floating around comparing Dak Prescott's first 7 years in the league to Peyton Manning's first 7 years in the league. It's not a meme that says this player is better than the other player. It's not a meme that says anything. It's just a meme showing the first 7 years, the statistics of both of these players. And Lord and behold, folks have been on my timeline arguing about this damn meme, for the past 3, 4 days. So I just had to jump in and give my 2 cents. Well, can you really say it's a different era? He just retired in 2015. Like he played in the modern NFL as well. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it. So yeah, man. So let's just read the numbers off. Let's just read the raw numbers off. And yes, like there was some narratives around him, and that's why I like making this comparison. And I'm actually gonna touch on where I'm okay with the comparison, right? So first 7 years for Peyton Manning, he completed 62.9% of his passes. He threw for 24,885 yards. He averaged 259.2 yards a game. He had a passer rating of 88.1. He threw for 167 passing touchdowns. He threw for 110 interceptions. He ran for 9 rushing touchdowns. Played in 96 games. In 6 playoff games, he was 2-4. He had 10 playoff touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Right. So Dak Prescott in his first seven seasons, 66.6 completion percentage. He threw for 24,943 yards, averages 257.1 yards a game, has a passer rating of 97.8. He has 166 passing touchdowns, only 65 interceptions, 26 rushing touchdowns. He did play in one extra game at 97. They have the same playoff record. He has one more playoff passing touchdown, and he has one less playoff interception. So those are the comparative numbers right there. And yes, that's what a lot of people will try to say. They will say Peyton Manning played in a different league. He did come into the league in 1998. Some of the rules were not in place to protect the passer and things along those lines. I get it, but yeah, NFL rank. And listen, he did not win a Super Bowl until 2006. So you really getting ahead of me for this point I'm finna make. Right? Everybody remembers Peyton Manning, the finished product. Everybody remembers Peyton Manning riding off to the sunset with his second trophy. Right? People remember that Peyton Manning. Like early in Peyton Manning's career, like we're talking about narrative wise, right? The narrative around Peyton Manning was the same narrative around Dak Prescott. They they say that Dak Prescott is a good regular season quarterback that cannot get over the hump. Peyton Manning was considered a good excuse me. Peyton Manning was considered a good regular season quarterback that could not get over the hump. Right? They have the same playoff record. They 2-4. Roughly the same amount of touchdowns, roughly the same amount of interceptions, right? And yes, he did get carried to his second Super Bowl. But no, this is about narratives, right? This is about narratives. And this is why I'm okay with people drawing these conclusions, making the comparisons and things like that, right? Because one, the numbers are what the numbers are. So like you can like people can agree, they can nitpick, whatever. The numbers are what the numbers are in terms of their statistics, right? So like the numbers say like Dak Prescott up to this point has had the damn near the same exact career as Peyton Manning, right? Statistic wise, we know that Peyton Manning did win 2 MVPs, during that 7 year span, right? So like number wise, they are having the same type of career up to this point. Same playoff record, almost the same exact yardage. Dak Prescott had actually threw way less interceptions. And like I said, that's probably partly due to the rule changes and partly due to Dak Prescott being a dual threat quarterback. But I'm okay with making the comparison because that's what you do, right? That's what the statistics are for. The statistics and analytics are for you to draw parallels, you know, so you can project what a player can do and will possibly do. So I'm not saying that Dak Prescott is going to be Peyton Manning at the end of his career, right? But I am going to say, right, just looking at what Peyton Manning was and compared to what Dak Prescott is right now, you're right. It's not, I would say you could look at those numbers and say not to panic just yet on Dak Prescott, right? Because Peyton Manning did not win a Super Bowl until his ninth season in the league. And then that second Super Bowl that he really did not contribute much to, he did not win to the very last season of his career, right? So I like the comparison just based on the numbers. Like they played the same position, they have similar narratives surrounding them, and I'm okay with it. You know why? Because when people make graphs and they point out that Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins have similar numbers, nobody bats an eye. They post it everywhere. It's fine. We supposed to just take that in stride, right? But when we post that Dak Prescott also has similar numbers to better players with, better narratives around them with bigger fanfare, then it's an issue, right? If there was a graph between Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott and the numbers were similar, like right, nobody would say anything about it. They would go on about their day. But because it's a graphic with Peyton Manning, who is considered to be one of the best quarterbacks in all of NFL history, and they don't look at Dak Prescott like that, that's the issue. But the truth is, the numbers are what the numbers are, right? And I get it. You play long enough, the league is going to change. But that's also true with Dak Prescott as of right now. If he plays as long as Peyton Manning did, the league's going to change around him as well, right? Hey, Michael Lockhart, what's good with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. Darren Sutton, what's up with you, man? Gary Murphy, what's good with you? So yeah, man. So again, I am not saying that Dak Prescott is Peyton Manning. I'm not saying that Peyton Manning is a bad quarterback. But you can't really, just say that Dak Prescott will never get the job done when you see people that say, see that people that consider Peyton Manning to be a much better quarterback, like he didn't even get the job done this early in his career. So my things would be just give Dak Prescott time and opportunity. So like if it's year 9, year 10, and it does not happen, then that's a different story. But right now, Dak Prescott has played the same amount of pretty much the same amount of years, the same amount of games as Peyton Manning. They have the same numbers, right? Hey, Tavis Bank, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. Yeah, and also another thing, different era, right? But I want people to think about this because I was trying to have this conversation with somebody, and they kept bringing up the fact that Peyton Manning did have the two MVPs, right? He had two MVPs in those 7 years. But I want to tell you, I want to point out a very interesting statistic, right? The first MVP that Peyton Manning won. Go back and look at the numbers for that MVP season. Peyton Manning in his MVP season, his very first MVP season, threw for 4,267 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, right? Dak Prescott in 2021 threw for 4,449 yards, 37 touchdowns, and only 10 interceptions. And he also had a higher completion percentage, and they also both won double digit games that year. Now, when Peyton Manning went on and won the MVP in the season I mentioned, Dak Prescott did not even get voted into the Pro Bowl by his fan base, right? 3.7 to 1 interception ratio was top five in touchdowns and completion percentage, won 11 games as a starter, and the fan base did not even vote him into the Pro Bowl. So my argument with him was, how is the 50-man panel that votes for MVPs going to vote Dak Prescott to win an MVP if his own fan base won't even vote him to the Pro Bowl? Right? It's gonna be hard to take that to even take that jump. And when you have a 50-man panel that votes on things like this, they vote for the all pro selections. They vote, you know, for the MVP. Narratives matter. And there is a very negative narrative around Dak Prescott right now. Right? Like a large majority of the fan base don't even rock with Dak Prescott. He does not even get Pro Bowl selections. They said the same thing about Romo. Dak and Romo had the same playoff record, and Dak should have went to the Pro Bowl. Yeah, like Dak Prescott should have went to the Pro Bowl last year. I'm okay with him not making it this year, of course, because of the interceptions, hardly missing the time, yada yada. But Dak Prescott was easily a top five quarterback last year statistically, and especially in the NFC. When you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, it was Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford. I did, and listen, like over the top four. Look at the numbers; they were the top four quarterbacks last year in the NFL, well, in the NFC anyway. And Dak Prescott did not make the Pro Bowl selection. So that narrative about Peyton Manning having MVPs, they were won, they were earned. But you can't expect Dak Prescott to ever get voted to be MVP when his own fan base won't even vote him to something simple as the Pro Bowl. Like they look at things like that. Like it's a narrative. Like MVP is a very narrative driven award, right? That's why somebody like, and I'm not saying he didn't deserve to be in the conversation, but that's why somebody like Jalen Hurts can only throw for 23 touchdowns and have all these 1 yard rushing touchdowns in a run oriented offense and be considered an MVP candidate. It's the narratives. It is the narratives. But yeah, that's about all the energy I'm actually going to give to that conversation. There are going to be plenty of people that disagree with me anyway. I don't actually care because listen, the numbers are what the numbers are, right? Like you can't nitpick when error matters, when the numbers matter. You can't because nobody's going to play in the same era. Nobody's going to play with the same level of talent around them, right? Nobody's odds are they're not going to play the same amount of years. So you got to compare what you can compare, right? Now Keenan Allen. Let's move on to this Keenan Allen talk. So it is being reported that Keenan Allen is a possible cap casualty, for the Los Angeles Chargers, this upcoming offseason. They can cut Keenan Allen and save a great deal of money So he would become an unrestricted free agent with the ability to sign with anybody of his choosing if that were to happen. Right? So now you know what we got to talk about. Once we talk about free agency, would Keenan Allen fit with the Dallas Cowboys? Now I want y'all to give me your opinions in the comment box. I already got my opinion, but I want to see what y'all think real quick before I go in there. Would y'all want to have Keenan Allen on your team? Do you think Keenan Allen can add something to this wide receiving core? Dizzy Dream, what's good with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in with me. Hey, how you doing right there? Okay. All right, Matt said yes. What the rest of y'all think? What do the rest of y'all think about Keenan Allen? Yay or nay? Yay or nay? And I'm going to give y'all the statistics behind Keenan Allen and all the other good stuff. Let's take a look. He's updated over too injury prone. Allen would fit. He'd be a solid number two. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what I actually feel. I'd rather get D Hop. Okay. So this is the thing. I would get if Keenan Allen became available, right? I would not mind him being a Dallas Cowboy. I'm going to just give you a couple of reasons, right? One, he is one of the best route running wide receivers in the entire NFL, right? He gets open, he can manufacture his own space, and he's not fast at all. He's never been fast. Like I think at the combine he only ran a 4.7, but that has not stopped him from being a perennial Pro Bowler. Having multi 1,100 yard plus receiving seasons. Like he is a route technician. He is on par with Amari Cooper as a route runner, right? And those are the kind of quarterback of wide receivers that Dak Prescott likes to play with. Like Dak Prescott is a quarterback that likes his wide receivers to get to where they need to be open, and to present to them, a open target. Keenan Allen is very good at that, right? And listen, last year he had a down year. He only had 752 yards on 66 catches, right? But that 752 yards would have still had him as the second best wide receiver on our team, right? Because remember, Michael Gallup gave you next to nothing last year. Noah Brown had the season of his career. He had the best season of his career. He did not crack 600 yards. He did not crack 600 yards receiving, giving you his best effort, right? Then Turpin did not. He had one catch for 8 yards, right? Jalen Tolbert did not get on the field. So adding him, especially under the context that he's getting cut, with him getting cut, I can keep all of my trade, all of my assets. I do not have to trade a pick. I do not have to trade a player, anything. And I can give him the contract that I want because he is a free agent. Right now, he still will have to agree to play on it. But his cap hit, his number, like all that stuff will be much more manageable than somebody like DeAndre Hopkins. And he is actually a year younger than DeAndre Hopkins. He's 30. D Hop is like 31. So he's slightly younger. He's one of the best route running wide receivers in football. And you're going to drop him into the West Coast offense, right? It's going to be a bunch of slants. He can run the post, corner route. And listen, him as a route runner, he can make all these routes marry each other. He has a great ability to get open, right? We don't have to run a bunch of pick plays or anything, or a bunch of formations to get Keenan Allen open. Keenan Allen gets open with his own route running ability and his ability to sell routes. Yeah, Tober is gonna be a dog this year, man. Like Tober is going to feast in this offense because it's predicated on things he's good at. Like he's very good after the catch with the ball in his hand. Right, West Coast offense is designed to get wide receivers out of space. It's give them the ability to get yards after catch. So he'll be fine. Jalen Tolbert probably couldn't get on the field due to a lot of these option routes, having to know all these variants on these routes. But here it's simplified, man. You just got to know how to run a slant, how to run it out. He'll be fine. He'll be able to get on the field. But that was the issue. So yeah, so that really is why I would want Keenan Allen because he would fit well with Dak Prescott. The last time that we saw Dak Prescott with a premier route runner, it was in Amari Cooper, and you saw what they were able to do together as a tandem, right? You saw what they did. And listen, Keenan Allen, he is a veteran. He's a veteran receiver. He has playoff experience, right? He's a five-time Pro Bowler, comeback player of the year. So I trust Keenan Allen. Now, I would not mind having DeAndre Hopkins, but DeAndre Hopkins is not a free agent. Yeah, West Coast offense is exactly that. It is yak or die because they're throwing a lot of short and intermediate routes. Tolbert will do well, plus West Coast offense will be more simplified. Yeah, you don't have to know a lot to get on the field in the West Coast offense. It's receiver friendly and it is quarterback friendly. Hey, Joshua Fisher, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. So yeah, so you don't have to do much to get on there. At least conceptually wise, you can get on there pretty well and learn it. There's a lot of simple routes. Like the other name for the West Coast offense is called a long handoff. So your running backs are getting involved in the pass game a lot. Gonna be a lot of slants. Yeah, blase blase. But the ball is coming out of the quarterback's hand rapidly and in quick succession. So yeah, I would like Keenan Allen to fill that role. Because remember, Michael Gallup, there is an out on his contract next year. So I still think they're gonna let him play this year, but Keenan Allen could be a technician as a slot receiver, right? Having him be our slot, letting him rotate out with CD Lamb, doing that, it would be a hard combination to stop. I like young wide receiver, but I won't prove wide receiver too though. Yeah, I get it. I do get that as well. And you know, and this thing, I think DeAndre Hopkins would be a good fit too. But was also with all the holes that we have in our roster, how many picks do they want for DeAndre Hopkins? Right? How much of my assets for team building do I have to give up to get DeAndre Hopkins, who is 31 years old? Right? Probably I think D Hop's going to be 32 by the time the season starts. So um, we just have to see. But Keenan Allen, free agent, you know, give up no assets, pay him what I want to pay him. Like that sounds a little bit better to me than taking on DeAndre Hopkins' contract, trading away valuable assets that I have, for a guy that I don't know how long he's gonna be able to play down the line. So that's my thought on it. Theoretically, I would prefer to get the Hyatt boy in the first and second round because then I would have a premier young talent for the next 5 to 4 years. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves about young players, right? Because like I've been talking about, we got to wait and see what happens during the off season, during free agency before I can talk about draft needs or what we need to do about that. So yeah, so let's see. We discussed this Dak Prescott, Peyton Manning stuff. We talked about Keenan Allen. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, CD Lamb also agrees with us about needing to get weapons in the building. So, how many of y'all saw what CD Lamb was talking about during the Pro Bowl game? Because he caught the game-winning touchdown during the Pro Bowl game, and then he got interviewed. Did any of y'all see that before I touch on that? Yeah, load the clip. See, I can find it. Let me see if I can find it because I got the quote here somewhere. Okay, here it goes. All right, so this is the report. Cowboys, and this from Cameron Wolf. Plus, it has a video attached. I can't play the video, but I will read it to you. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb caught game-winning touchdown for NFC in first Pro Bowl flag football game. I caught up with CeeDee Lamb yesterday about how these Pro Bowl games bring them back to younger days. Why add more weapons is his top takeaway from Cowboys season, right? But CeeDee Lamb, right? I'm gonna cut it off just in case. But yeah, CeeDee Lamb said you never have too many weapons, right? And you got to think about it from CeeDee Lamb's perspective of what was going on this year in this offense, right? CeeDee Lamb, hands down, was the best player on the Dallas Cowboys offense the entire season, right? The second best player on offense this season, and we talk about skill position wise, was a running back in Tony Pollard, right? Darren Sutton, do you think Diggs should hold out? Yes, Diggs should hold out, and they should pay Diggs. This should not even. It's no. It really should not even have even came to this point where Diggs had to consider holding out because Trayvon Diggs is an All-Pro cornerback. He just made two consecutive Pro Bowl selections, and he is only going to be playing for $4.8 million this year. To put that into perspective, because I know a lot of people are going to say that's a lot of money. Anthony Brown, who most of our fan base thinks is horrible, I don't actually think he's that bad. You know, he's a solid number two quarterback. But anyway, Anthony Brown, who a lot of y'all don't think is even good, made over $6 million last year. You know, he made $2 million more than what Diggs would make this year coming up, and that was last season. T Smooth, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you tapping in with me. So yeah, like Diggs should hold out. He should force their hand and make them pay him, and he will be stupid to play on that 1 year deal for $4.8 million. He is he is too valuable. But listen, what if he gets hurt and is never able to be the same player again without securing the bag? Go out there, have a horrific leg injury, and he's never the same player after that. Right? He has a market value right now over $20 million a year. And like that's $16 million short of what he will be playing for on this contract. Right? So like theoretically, Diggs is up to get $100 million contract, and he could lose that $100 million contract for trying to play for $4 million. It's like a $96 million difference. Because if Diggs gets hurt on this 1 year deal without getting the bag, that could be it for him. So yeah, he's going to hold out, and I don't blame him for holding out. And that's the only language the Dallas Cowboys front office understands. Because Ezekiel Elliott had to hold out. Zach Martin held out for a day before they gave him his money. Right? Dez Bryant had public contract disputes with the Dallas Cowboys front office. Dallas Cowboys front office also publicly, discredited Dak Prescott during his contract talks. So things get shiesty when it's time to pay people in Dallas. So I completely agree with him for holding out, trying to get his money, especially right. He is just going to be getting a contract extension. The money they will give him is not going to affect right? It's not going to affect the salary cap for next year anyway. Like he's going to get a lot of money up front. That's not going to affect the salary cap, and then the extension is going to be added on to the years after this 1 year deal. That's why it's called an extension. And yes, listen, he does not have to be a tackling maestro. He is a cornerback. If he was that damn good tackling, he need to play safety, right? So no, like he is fine. Like I say, and listen, he still tackles better than Deion Sanders. Like Sanders was not a great tackler at all. Like I would say that Trayvon Diggs is a better tackler than Deion Sanders was. So yeah, so but oh yeah. I got sidetracked talking about Trayvon Diggs. All right, I was speaking on what CeeDee Lamb had to endure this season at the sole star player, and why I understand why he's asking for more weapons. Right. And CeeDee Lamb, he made a great transition into being a number one wide receiver. He did everything you asked for. Right. He made an all pro selection. He had 1,300 yards. Like he had a big playoff game. He really had two great playoff games. He showed up. He showed up both playoff games. So CeeDee Lamb made the transition, from a solid number two to being the guy in Dallas. But the guys behind him did not make the next step. Michael Gallup, whether it be towards because of injury or what, he did not give us much this year. He had under 500 yards receiving. He only had 4 touchdowns, and he disappeared. He did not even catch a single ball in the playoff loss against the 49ers. Right? Jalen Tolbert, who we invested a top 100 pick in, he did not even get on the field most of the season. And then when he was on the field, like he had that instance where he was offsides, on offense. So like he really did not give us anything. His rookie year was really a wash in terms of production and in terms of getting him developmental reps. Cavante Turpin was regulated to being a punt return specialist. And then T.Y. Hilton, bless his soul, he came in December and was 33 years old. Hey, everybody, stop what you're doing and show some love to West Coast Cowboy in the building, showing love, man. I appreciate you, Kim folk, for tapping in with me over here. So yeah, man. So like when you think about that, when you think about like it was pretty much CeeDee Lamb or bust. There was no other wide receiver on this team that had at least 600 yards receiving. Like CeeDee Lamb had 1,300 yards. Matter of fact, let me pull up the numbers. Right. So he had 1,300 yards, and then like nobody else on the damn team had 600 yards receiving. Right. So like he really had no help. He was out there, and don't get me wrong, he did his job. But like that has to be stressful on a guy knowing that if you don't have a good game, there's no chance of them winning. At least by passing the ball. So yeah, I understand completely why CeeDee Lamb, would ask for more weapons, for ask Jerry Long to load the clip up. Because think about it, CeeDee Lamb. Think about actually having a competent wide receiver on the opposite side of CeeDee Lamb, while CeeDee Lamb is receiving bracket coverage, while CeeDee Lamb is receiving double teams. Right? We did not really have that this year. Michael Gallup, hopefully he gets it turned around. Yeah, hopefully he gets it turned around this year. He had an off-season procedure to clear up the stuff in his other leg. And then he had time to heal from the last knee surgery. So hopefully he's in better health to enter the season next year. But even with that, right, we need to upgrade over Noah Brown. We seen Noah Brown. We know what he is, and we know what he ain't at this point. There is no reason that Noah Brown should be playing a large role in the Dallas Cowboys offense next season. I know that he can be brought back for cheap, but Noah Brown does not need to be a starting wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Right? So we're going to have to do something about upgrading the receiver spot. Because listen, there's still no guarantee that Michael Gallup can be the number two wide receiver that we need. So we have not seen that in quite some time. Because even the year before in 2021, CeeDee Lamb, he became the clear cut number two wide receiver above Michael Gallup. I think even dating back to 2020. So Michael Gallup really has not been the number two wide receiver since 2019. Right? He has not truly been the number two wide receiver in this offense in terms of production since 2019. So it's going to be a lot to ask for CeeDee Lamb to get back up to that level. So we might have to invest some premier capital into going out and getting a solid number two wide receiver. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins, maybe Keenan Allen. Might be somebody out of the draft, but we need to upgrade that second wide receiver spot. Michael Gallup can man that three spot because that's really what he's been. He's been your third wide receiver really since the 2020 season. Let's go back and look at the production. He got paid. He's Jones' boy. Yeah, he got paid, and it's listen. Most of us who know what the hell we're talking about did not want Jerry Jones to re-sign Michael Gallup over Amari Cooper because that is what they did. They chose to keep Michael Gallup over a completely healthy Amari Cooper, and we have been paying for it ever since. Right? The beautiful thing about Michael Gallup's contract, though, is you can get right out from under it next year. Hey, not Al Cowboy, what's up with you, man? I appreciate you for tapping in and showing love, boy. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and Cooper had a great year. He had a great year. Cooper had a great year. And Michael Gallup gave you nothing. So yeah. So next season, not the 2023 season coming up, but in 2024, the season that's coming up after, the Dallas Cowboys can cut Michael Gallup and save $9.5 million on that contract. And I think they will do that if he does not show he is worth his contract this year coming up. So I expect Michael Gallup to come in and be highly motivated because he'll basically be playing for his damn job, if we're being honest. Right? He will be playing for his job in this 2023 season because the Dallas Cowboys can get rid of him. They can move on from that contract if they feel like it is a waste of money. And listen, even though people Jerry Jones them like the players, I seen them move on from Dez Bryant, and I know they love Dez. So Michael Gallup ain't got a damn chance if he doesn't produce. But yeah, this is really just a quickie show, man. I just wanted to hop on real quick, give y'all my initial thoughts about some of this stuff going on around the league. I will try to be back on here later on tonight. Possibly be on the show with West Coast. But I appreciate y'all for the love. And I'm gonna get out of here, man. I'm gonna get at y'all later on.